Hey there, what is up, plant community? A Green Thumb here. So, this is a video that has definitely been long overdue, and it's because right now it's like 61, 62 degrees, and right now I think it deserves this video. The poinsettia. Now, again, I know this video is long overdue because it's officially Christmas, and people usually watch these videos when, well, when it's December 1st, people start looking into videos like this and things like that. So let's talk about the poinsettia. Let's talk about care, info, all that. So let's talk about the care poinsettia. So poinsettias, if you guys don't know, they're not really a shrub like you'll see them here. And yeah, some of the leaves on mine are yellow and starting to fall off, and that happens every year. But anyway, so let's talk about the poinsettia, also known as axolotl. Also, the Aztecs called them fire trees because the brax on a normal one is red and is basically looks like a fire tree. So let's talk about the flowers. Now, everybody thinks the leaves are the flowers. These are not. These are colored leaves. They use these to simply help them photosynthesize whenever days get shorter. People also call it the solstice plant, the winter plant, the holiday plant. And these little things right there are actually the flowers. These little guys right there, those are the flowers. It does have a male flower and a female flower. So keep that in mind. The male flower looks like that. Looks like that right there. And sadly, I do not have a female flower to show off yet. But yeah, pretty no matter what. So let's talk about how to care for these. So indoors, you want to put them by a bright window, or you can put them on the window, long as you don't have the leaves leaning up against a cool glass and you don't have no wind that could get through the window. That might be chilly, because if that's the case, your poinsettia more likely will completely drop all of its leaves. I'm having that issue with one of mine right now, actually, because I forgot to, well, seal it up where the cold draft can come in. Now let's talk about temps. What is the temps? They like it indoors 70 to 60 degrees, which is why I got outside right now, because it's 60 degrees. But they like warm weather. Don't expose them to anything 50 degrees. Now, my friend in Florida has gotten hers to take 34 degrees. But again, that's without frost. If you live in the northern hemisphere with the wind chill, you can get a chance of frost. So be mindful of that. Again, hers was a slow adjustment though, and they just let them grow as trees in Florida. So because that's what they are a tree, not a shrub. Of course, you could keep them pruned up as a shrub. I would prefer to prune mine up into a tree. So let's talk about watering with these guys. Now, this is the most trickiest part, which is why people don't tend to keep the plants and they throw them away because they don't want to deal with all that. So, this is the tricky part. So, you want to keep them in soil that is well draining. You don't want to keep them in soil that can actually hold on to moisture, because they don't tend to like that, believe it or not. They kind of hate that. So that's something to keep in mind. They don't appreciate having wet feet all the time. And yeah, now if you do put them in potted soil that holds on the moisture, be mindful to not water it constantly. So like here we get poinsettias shipped where the soil, it tends to hold on the moisture. So I want to water that when it's completely dry. So you can water them when they're completely dry, or say like here's the pot right there. maybe when the water level is about here. Of course, you could pick it up and fill it for yourself, or if you got a little meter that can tell you how moist your soil is, that's when you want to water. People say that when you fill around, you want to fill that soil, and if it feels moist on top, don't water it, leave it alone. That's what I've been kind of doing, but I've also been letting them completely dry out because I don't want to kill this plant, because they are pretty much a succulent in a way. Now, during the summertime, they're going to want way more water. Okay, that was a weird sound. Kids, sorry guys. So, so yeah, in the summertime, they're going to want way more water. You could put them in shade. That way, the soil is holding on to more water, because if you put them in direct sunlight, they're going to become a banana tree, and they are going to want water constantly. Now, if you do not water them constantly, what's going to happen is those leaves are going to fry, and those leaves are going to fall off. And so that's something else to keep in mind, because where they grow, yeah, they're a tree, but they're an understory tree. They don't get really tall. So, yeah, you can't plant them in direct sunlight. I mean, put them in direct sunlight. If you live in Florida or someplace like that, you probably can plant them. If you don't get no frost, that is. Otherwise than that, nah, you ain't gonna be planting these guys in the ground. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. Now, let's talk about fertilization. You can give it a little bit of fertilizer here and there. When I had liquid fertilizer, I'd give it about once a month, because, let's face it, all these leaves are going to completely fall off, and you're going to be stuck with a pile of sticks, basically. And, so, yeah, when you have that pile of sticks, right here, where each little individual node is where a potential new stem can form. So you want to add a little bit of fertilizer after the holiday seasons when they're looking like this. You know, kind of raggedy, losing their bracts and leaves. And that's basically how you can keep them alive after the holiday. And so that's important to take note, that you can keep these after the holidays. Now let's talk about toxicity. Are they toxic to you? Are they toxic to your animals? So I watched a video where a man literally ate a whole salad of these. Like, he just took away the leaves and just ate it like a salad. He did not get sick from it, surprisingly. Now, if you're allergic to it, I would be mindful of the sap, because when you cut on them, the sap does bleed. It literally bleeds. So yeah, be a little careful with that if you're allergic to it. Now, as for cats and dogs, from what research has shown, no. But be mindful that your cat and dog is a predatory animal before they were bred like they were. So, like, their stomachs isn't made to digest plant matter really of any type. So, keep that in mind. Yes, it can splurge once in a while, like when we see dogs and cats do it because their stomachs are upset, but naturally, that is rare, and that does not occur. So if they start eating on this, that's not good for them. I would not recommend it. Especially if you have curious mouths like babies, they might get sick on it. So what are we going to do with these guys after the holiday? So you could do one or two things. So my friend in Florida, which a lot of people do, you could just let them completely drop their leaves, drop their flowers here, and they will just bloom. Well, not bloom, but they will sprout from down below, and the flowers will just kind of decay off. Or you can just cut them off whenever all the bracts completely drop. And yeah, they'll just sprout from somewhere else. You don't have to severely cut them, but from what I've seen, as what a lot of people do, is they come way back. And when they come way back, they give them a little bit of fertilizer to help them along, because you ain't going to have a whole lot of foliage after that. very little, very minuscule at best. Uh, got a little distracted there, but very minuscule at best is what I meant to say. And so, yeah, you definitely want to keep them by a bright window then, because then all that's really getting them going is a stem and maybe a few leaves you kept. Um, but yeah, you don't have to do that. And again, if you want to, you can kind of trim the bottom stems and try to get more into a tree form. And yeah, you could just basically kind of trim them like bonsai in a way. I actually have a bonsai poinsettia tree, so yeah. Um, but yeah, it's basically all there is to know really about the poinsettia and about how to care for poinsettia. A bit of a long video, but if you're really going to take care of this plant, it's something you got to keep in mind. And again, keep it more on the dry side than the moist side, in my experience. Especially if you live in the northern hemisphere where it's mainly cloudy and you don't really get a lot of sun. Wow, I about died. Oh, I about fell right over that pot. Anyways. So, yeah. Poinsettia, beautiful plant. Love them, love them, love them. The only trouble I have is trying to keep them alive through the winter time to grow them during the summertime and then brack them again. Whoa, not done yet. Was almost done. How to brack them. So, when you get them going and you let them grow through the summertime, you want to take them. Some people come back midsummer. You don't have to, but you can take them and you could put them in a box or put them someplace dark. And what you're going to do is you're going to do this for a couple of weeks. I forget how many weeks. You can look into that yourself. But yeah, and then eventually what'll happen is you'll get the bracts by December. That's if you want to do that. Sometimes they will naturally brack by themselves. In my experience, my poinsettia bonsai tree has almost bracked, but never got around to it because usually by the time it's ready to turn its foliage completely red, I throw it back outside to help it grow. So it was almost there. It tried so hard and lost it all. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. But yeah. Beautiful poinsettias, different cultivars, different variants of them. But yeah, it's basically, I need to kind of straighten you out a little bit. There you go. But yeah, that's basically all there is to know about poinsettias. Other than that, guys, as always, keep it real and keep it tropical.